Well, good morning, actually, and it's quite an interesting day we're going to talk about completely. Did not expect to be doing a pre-recorded of just after the day after the Champions League final, and I thought, you know what, it's probably to do the Champions League final um, post-match review. I have to say that was probably the most dominant one-sided game that I ever seen for a long, long, long time. Actually, since I came into this world. So I just started to watch football when I was a as a child, and I have to admit, what a game from PSG after the over a decade since they got taken over by QSI. They've been trying to hunt down chasing the Champions League to win, for over 10 years, about 13 years now, 13 years now, and did not expect that thumping to beat Inter Milan 5-0 on last night. I expected PSG to be slight favourites in this game. I really did. I thought it was going to be a little bit close, but I did not expect that that beating completely. It amazes me how PSG just started from the first minute, and like I said, they ended the 32-year hoodoo, becoming the first French team since Marseille in the 90s after, in 1992 to win the Champions League, so that streak's over, it is ended. And I have to admit, it was a proper team performance for the first time. Inter just didn't look right from the get go completely. It was surprising in a way how that thumping was completely. I just think Inter was the first team to have three players over the age of 35, which is quite amazing for a team to got over three players over 35 playing in the Champions League final, in history. And PSG have had one of the youngest, average youngest Champions League final squad as well. I have to say, let's go back to the last Champions League final when for PSG, when it was during the COVID year, the team they had the team of Neymar and Mbappe in that team as well. It did, they lost to Bayern Munich 1-0, unfortunately, under Unai, under Thomas Tuchel. It's surprising how much, from the look a couple of years ago, PhD, it was the laughing stock. We called it the bling bling era, where they were buying superstars such as Mbappe, Neymar, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Sergio Ramos, Lionel Messi. You can name a few more as well. It just shows you how much that team individual just didn't get through. And I think you look about the embarrassing results, especially when they lost to Man United in that in the country in the fashion. I think it was 2018, 2019 when they lost to Man United in the knockout stages, and then they returned that when they were 4 up in Barcelona in 2017-18 season, and they went. They lost that game in the best ending, to a game when they were 4 up in the first leg and then lose, 6-5, 6-5 in the return leg, and it just shows you how much they've had to overcome to with the failures of learning. And I think it was a big move from the chairman, from the chairman of PSG to say it times out at the end of the bling bling area. We need to start going to more homegrown, and I think we're seeing it now. And it's what a change within 2 seasons. Luis Enrique coming in probably a good timing because I think PSG needed someone that can get them across the line, and he's done that experience at Barcelona. Him, Pep, and Jose are the only three managers to win the two trophies with two different clubs in the Champions League, and that's a first of three former Barcelona employees winning Champions League at two different clubs. That is quite amazing as well. It really is quite amazing for that. And we'll talk more about PSG in a second, but I think this is the end of the road for the players for Inter Milan, especially they had the oldest team, and they were just rung ragged by PSG last night. I think there's been doubts over the future of Simone Inzaghi's future. I think this is the end of the cycle. I think they do need to reinvest, but I don't think they have the money what PSG have. And the problem is, I think Inzaghi was very coy on Friday in his press conference before the final. He's been literally removed to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. I just, and the back to back, the lot, they've had a really tough week. They lost the Serie A title to Napoli, and especially as well, not getting doing well in the Coppa Italia as well, and then losing the Champions League final in this fashion as well. When 2 seasons ago, they should have won the Champions League final against Man City. Had some good chances there, but I think it's the end of the cycle for them, and I think they're gonna have to. It's gonna be a long, long summer for them, especially because who does Inter get in? I think there's no huge names at the moment, because Allegri's now back at AC Milan. Conte is staying at Napoli. That's been sorted out. This is going to be a tough, tough summer for Inter Milan, and especially they're going to have to the players that they have in that team as well. Mkhitaryan is probably going to have to go. Will have to, will be leaving. And it comes to the end of his cycle. As player, as well. Just seeing the lineups as well. We got Mkhitaryan, Chanoglu, Abakani, Abakani. These are the older players I've been on for so long, for quite a long time, and seven of those players in that Inter team were the last 5 or 2 seasons ago. For them, it's I think Inzaghi's gonna have to make a decision. I think he won't be. I think this summer I don't think he'll be there. Um, at Inter at the San Siro this season, I really don't. This summer coming, I don't think he will do. It's not surprised. He's taking his team as far as he's come. I think they do need a new leader. I think they need a new voice. I think they need new everything. Especially it's just going to be an interesting now what they do in the transfer window this coming as well, later during the summer and before the new season of Serie A, which hopefully I'll probably be speaking to Reese from the Weekly Steel Chair because he's a big AC Milan fan. We'll probably talk about Inter during the course of the season when we get back, when we do come back this later in the summer to do outside the show this in the next few weeks, in a few weeks time as well. But going back to PSG, if you can imagine when when Vitinha was actually just a few seasons ago was on loan at Wolves, and he's got his first goal against a non-league side Charlie in the FA Cup, and Wolves had an option to buy it for 20 million euros. Wolves will be having a field day with him, and somehow they did make that option permanent, and he's now a Champions League winner. You know, this team has changed a lot now. Hakimi coming in, Nuno Mendes, João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, and I think the one player, two players, the three players up front do need mention, Osam Dembele, Kachavishvili, and Desiree Dure, who's a very unknown player that has come through the ranks of from Rennes Academy, one of the best academies in France and most in Europe as well, to get to try to to get him for a good deal Dure did have a good game against Arsenal in the league phase when PSG was struggling before the last 3 games. They turned it on, and especially that result against Man City was the biggest moment for them to get why they won the Champions League. That's one of the key moments as well. Dure did have a good time in a 6-2, even 6-2 cameo appearance against Arsenal when they lost 2-0 in the league phase. And what a turnaround he is. And I think he's going to be the star boy of PSG in the next decade. He's a generational talent for that team. And I think he's going to go places as well. I think with his quality styles, he's made a huge leap after, a bit of a slow start to his career at PSG when he joined last summer. Listen, it's been Marquinhos. He's been there for a long time, for over 12 years. He's finally got the trophy that he's been destined to get after winning multiple league earned titles as well as over domestic titles as well. And PSG become the first French team to do the treble as well. That record has never happened, and finally they have done that hoodoo. I think for Luis Enrique, what he's gone through, losing his daughter Jana, you know, back in 2019 when she had a rare form of bone cancer. I remember when he won his first Champions League at Barcelona against Juventus, his daughter put the flag in the middle of the pitch at the Olympic Stadium in Berlin. That was a moment, and the PSG Ultras had a very good tribute, having a tifo of his daughter, Luis Enrique, and his daughter flagging the PSG flag on the middle of the picture, and he actually Luis Enrique wore the T-shirt of his daughter in front of him as well. Really huge special tribute to her, and for him as well, because he's had to make the biggest changes of when Kylian Mbappe left last summer for Real Madrid. Especially Enrique was questioning him. He needs to be part of a team and so forth. I think they have become a complete team with this young style of players, and you know, Kaveh Skrilla, who actually was had a chance to go to Man City to other European clubs in January, and then PSG decided to pay for the money, and he's been a turnaround. He's the first Georgian player to win the Champions League as well. What crazy, but Dure, Bacola, they got a good squad. PSG, Gonzalo Ramos, Mario. It's a good and Zai Emery. So that PSG squad is going to be good for years to come in Europe, and I think they will. I think they will. This one trophy is not going to be this. I think they can win a multiple. And secretly, I do like PSG. I think they have the quality squad. I think there was questions was at the time that there was more of a team individualism, of buying superstars. It just didn't fit to the mold. I think this has been a huge difference. And I think with Enrique changing, after from last season to start this journey to what they have had to do to get that, to break that hoodoo. And finally, PSG have done it after spending over €1 billion over the last decade, over the last 12, 13 years. It's been coming, but we finally seen it with this team of young, young gem, wonder kid players, who do fit as a team. And I think that's a fair assessment as well. But as I said, 5-0 is the most one-sided result I've ever seen. And I think no one's not going to break that score line. I don't think ever in the next 10 or 20 years to come in my lifetime. We will see though, but I have to say, there were some good goals. Hakimi, what a turn from Dure in the tough mate, but Dembele, with the back heel flick for Dure to score his second goal of the game, and then Kachishvili as well too. I have to say, was the most one-sided game, and congratulations to PSG. They deserve it in the fair point. I think they're going to be a force about years to come. And to be quite honestly, I'll give my assessment of how this league, the new Swiss model system works. I think it has been a success. There was only two dead rubbers in games in that league phase, and there were the two. There was like teams that didn't qualify and missed out. When the previous group stage, there was always dead rubber games when the team qualified. I think this was a better system for all those teams, especially we've seen that Aston Villa beating Bayern Munich at that when this past season as well. It's been a huge difference, and I think there's you got to give credit. Can't give credit to you if they've still got a lot to do, but I think changing the format has been successful because it gave teams to realize that there was not going to be no easy games in those 8 matches they've had to play. I think it has been successful. Seeing there was no teams from England, Germany, or Spain to get to the finals. This was the first time since 2003, 2004 season when I will say when it was the teams that was in that final was Porto or Monaco. So it has been a long time coming that no teams from outside the big three leagues in a way, League One is still considered as a farmers league, but yeah, it's finally that who French football. They've been battling for years. Get teams like Marseille, Lyon. Have been trying to get to the final. PSG did, and then like before that, back in 2020, they lost the final to Bayern Munich. But I think this is now the start of something successful for the Parisians, and I think this could, I don't know where they're going to improve this. So I think that squad don't have any weakness. I would not be surprised to keep buying the players, the young gen players that wants to be part of a collective team, that individualism, and I think they're going to be a force to come now under Luis Enrique. And I think he will get another contract extension as well. I think that's going to be coming sooner than I think it is. But as I said, what a game, and it was a dominant game from PSG from start to finish completely. I've just given that's my review here to do this, but as I said, I will be back during the summer. I've got some big plans coming up. but you can see me doing some shorter form videos on the channel as well. So keep an eye on that with some breaking news with the transfer stuff as well. As I said, I thought I just did this recording to give my take on it as well. But I like to thank you guys all for listening. And listen, have a good summer regardless. And I will be honest, I'll be keep talking more on any transfer stuff coming up the next couple of days since then. But I'm not going to do any coverage of the Club World Cup. As I said, I just want to try and have a bit of a break, but I'll still do some pre-recorded stuff, short form videos. So no, but this is my take on the Champions League final uh, post match review. And like I said, what a moment! PSG have finally broke the hoodoo. They've won the Champions League finally after years of the banter they've had to get. So congratulations to them. But like I said, thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for any upcoming content, and keep an eye for other stuff as well too. As well, you can see my co-host Doug's channel at the Doug at Football channel as well. I will share that out in the description. But all you have a good summer. Take care.